If there's one thing we know about Christianity, it's that marriage and raising beautiful, God-fearing children is the most important aspect of life. I'm sure there's actually even a Bible verse somewhere that says, "Thy highest purpose in all heaven and earth is putting a ring on it." So, our ultimate goal as Christians, as soon as we hit the ripe old age of 16, is to be in constant pursuit of that one special person that God has predestined to be our soulmate since the beginning of time, right? 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 What if I told you that, in fact, the Bible seems to actually suggest the opposite? This is where I would imagine people will slam the dislike button, saying things like, "Screw this guy and his fancy sarcasm-based jokes." You know, I can tolerate a horrible fake King James language Bible quote joke, but the moment he starts saying that marriage isn't the prize that Paul talks about running the race towards, is the moment I start typing heretic in the comments section and cleansing my mind and soul with little Chris Tomlin jams. But to get on to the point, the Bible does seem like it may suggest that marriage shouldn't be our ultimate goal and focus in life. Now, this theory comes from a small verse found hidden in the middle of 1 Corinthians 7, where in verse 8, Paul says this very cryptic and confusing message that reads, "It's better to stay unmarried." Oh, that's not nearly as cryptic as I thought it would be. Now, maybe you're saying, yeah, okay, Paul said that. But that's Paul. He was a really radical Christian who actually lived it out in his own life, and he shared Jesus with other people and stuff. He's not like me. Besides, it's not like Jesus said it or anything. And at this point, you're probably realizing that when I read your mind and say it back to you, it probably means I'm about to prove you wrong. Which is correct. Allow us to enjoy a little passage I like to call Matthew 19. So here in Matthew 19, we have some Pharisees thinking they're going to finally trap Jesus. They ask, should a man be allowed to divorce his wife for any reason? And then Jesus answers them with this beautiful, elegant homily about how we were created male and female, and that's why we leave our parents and join together as one in marriage, and that what God has joined together, no man should separate. It's so beautiful. It's used today in most weddings, which is kind of ironic since the context is he's talking about reasons not to divorce. But Jesus follows that up by saying basically that no one should get divorced, and it's really bad if they do. So nice way to just kind of put a nice wedding day cap on the whole speech, Jesus. High five, good work. But then the disciples ask, well, is it better to just not get married then? And that's when Jesus drops this bombshell on everyone. He says not everyone can accept this statement. Only those whom God helps. Some are born as eunuchs, which means basically someone who can't have kids. Yeah, that works. We'll just leave it at that. So some are born as eunuchs, some have been made eunuchs by others, and some choose not to marry for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. Let anyone accept this who can. So even Jesus is getting in on this stay single, marriage is for losers wagon. Now that I've ruined several relationships and every Hallmark and rom-com movie for the rest of your life, let me say this. That it's okay to get married. And kind of necessary, to further the human race and whatnot. Gosh darn it, Craig, make up your mind. Should I get married or not? Sure, why not? Both Jesus and Paul say that. In fact, Paul says that if you can't control your lustful, sexual, crazed urges, that you probably should get married. But what both Jesus and Paul also say is that it's better to stay single. There's the gift of prophecy, there's the gift of teaching, of healing, but Paul even says there's a gift of singleness. Cool, right? But seriously, there's nothing wrong with dating and falling in love and the googly eyes and marriage and kids and diapers and rebellious teenagers and sweet little grandkids. But there's also nothing wrong with being single. In fact, it's actually better. And I'm also not saying that if you're single right now, you're going to be single for the rest of your life. But what I am saying is there's nothing wrong with being single, and it's better to be single until you're ready to move on into the next stage of your life in a relationship with someone else. So the next time some 86-year-old relative asks you when you're going to find yourself a husband or a wife at Thanksgiving, drop some Matthew 19 on their poor, unsuspecting, innocent minds. And that is Craig approved. And that's a wrap.